So one of the biggest deciding factors for my husband and I choosing this particular dealership over all the others is that with this salesman, James, the one that I have been talking about since the very beginning, whenever we had a question that he wasn't able to answer, he literally picked up his cell phone and called the builder. Like, he actually called the manufacturing plant, the factory that the home is being built at. For example, one of our questions was, can we put 2 windows in the living room instead of 1? Well, instead of James, the salesman, saying, yeah, I think we can do that, or I don't know, let's check and see at a later date, he would just pick up his cell phone, and it was like he had the builders on speed dial or something. He was like friends with them. So he just called him up and said, hey, with this particular model that my client is interested in, are you able to put a second window in? This was a huge deal for us. And anybody who's in this process, who's shopping for a manufactured home, the salesperson really, really matters, because with a lot of the dealerships we went to, we would ask a question, they would answer it right off the bat, like, oh yeah, we can do that, or no, we can't do that. And then later on, I would find out that they were actually wrong, they were mistaken. And it's not that they were trying to lie to us or anything. I think they were just in the moment and wanted to make it sound like they knew what they were talking about, so they just answered it real quick without actually doing the research. Whereas James, who by the way has been in the business for like 40 something years, which is probably why he has all these connections with the builders and manufacturing plants, you would think somebody who has been in the business for that long would actually be more of like a know-it-all and just answer the question without checking, but not him. And another thing that I'm learning too through this process is, if you're not comfortable with your salesperson, but you want to go with that dealership for whatever reason, don't be afraid to ask for an entirely different salesperson. We did have to do that at one location where I straight up asked, like, hey, can I have the original salesman that I was working with, because they tried to switch me to somebody else. You have to remember, this could potentially be one of the biggest purchases of your life, and you want to make sure that you're doing it right. And that's another thing about our salesman that we're going with, is that I'm not kidding you when I tell you, I'll show you my book, I have pages upon pages upon pages of questions. And not once did he ever make me feel like I was being a burden or that I was annoying, because some of these questions might seem like common sense to where like a dealership or salesman might get annoyed that you're even asking. But this is all new to me, and I made that very clear from the beginning. So I was not afraid to ask every single little detail. James was more than willing to answer it, took his time with us, was not pushy, was not salesy. Like, these are all the things I think everybody should be looking for in a salesperson.